And especially since it's not an uphill finish, it's 25 kilometers downhill into Granada after the last climb. I'm going to pick Carlos Rodriguez to win tomorrow's stage. He's at plus 3,300.
Hi, I'm Spencer Martin, along with Johan Bruyneel, and this is Outcomes.
Outcomes is not an online gambling operator or a gambling site of any kind. We are simply here to provide information about sports betting for entertainment purposes only. It is a responsibility of all visitors to this podcast to check current local laws in their area or country before doing any gambling online. It is your responsibility to know and follow your local laws in place. Although we try best to provide accurate information on Outcomes, we cannot be held responsible for any inaccurate or incorrect information which is mentioned on this show. If you place any bets based on the conversations on Outcomes, you confirm or understand that it is possible to lose some or all monies used when betting on sports or doing any gambling. You cannot hold Outcomes responsible for any such losses. Our podcast is here to provide entertainment and should be viewed as that and nothing more. Thanks for tuning in.
Everybody, welcome back to Outcomes. We are predicting stage 9 of the Vuelta a España. We will get Johan's take on how this is going to play out and who is going to win in a few minutes. But first, Johan, I want to ask you about today, stage 8. And it's convenient because a lot of the same things that apply today will apply tomorrow. But Primož Roglič wins, your pick. Good prediction. He was our hedge against the race coming back together. It came back together easier than with less fuss than I thought it would. I was a little surprised to see Israel Premier Tech, Riley Sheehan, Boulder guy, get on the front there and just weld it back together for reasons still slightly unknown to me. But Red Bull Bora must have been very, very happy about how that played out. Primož went into the climb in second wheel. That was perfect and wins it. It makes it look easy. It's not easy. I can guarantee you that. But what was your take on the stage, and why did that come back together? What was going on there?
Well, obviously, Spencer, I have the same questions as you. I don't know what Israel Premier Tech's strategy was. They have Riccitello and they have George Bennett. I assume those were the two guys for the last climb. But then, how are these guys going to beat the stronger riders, the stronger climbers of the GC? I just don't understand that. And they put a lot of energy, a lot of motivation and determination into that chase. They were the sole reason why the breakaway didn't make it. So I don't know the reason. Don't know what's behind it. But what's for sure is that it was great for Primož Roglič. He got all of a sudden an opportunity presented to him to go for the stage win and also to gain more seconds with the bonification. And then as an added benefit for Primož and the other favorites, Ben O'Connor didn't have a great day. He looked okay. The first acceleration that Roglič put in there, I said, oh, wow, O'Connor looks comfortable. But then all of a sudden, he lost terrain and 45 seconds of time loss plus 10 seconds bonification. That's a big time loss for a 3 kilometer. I mean, it was obviously a longer effort, but the last 3 kilometers. My guess is that they're going to keep trying this now, especially after this. If you see that the enemy is wounded, you need to keep going to finish him, right? And so I expect that more of the same we're going to see tomorrow, because tomorrow's stage is much harder than today's stage. Seeing Ben O'Connor in problems, they must think, of course, well, he's paying the price of his big breakaway performance. He left a lot of energy there, and at least they're going to have that intention and motivation. So I expect to see the same. But hey, it was a great day for Roglič. I don't think he expected to gain almost a minute back on yesterday's stage. And all of a sudden, I think that the hopes are back. I mean, it's still a very comfortable lead for O'Connor, but I think that the hopes are back amongst the other guys that say, okay, we can still catch him.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfect. It's for that, like Red Bull, they I think they screwed up big time on stage 6, and then they've done exactly the right thing on stage 7 and 8. Like, they've gotten almost a minute back in 2 stages. They're 349 back on Ben O'Connor right now. And I think this is how, if they win the race, this is how they win it. It's these like singles and doubles on these shorter, steeper, more explosive summit finishes. But Ben O'Connor, I mean, he lost 46 seconds today. That's not great, but I'm sure he was still fatigued from his breakaway on stage 6. And if he can like limit that, just keep that between get it to 30, Ben, and you're safe. It's like he doesn't actually have to stay with Primož. That's the big thing here is he can actually get dropped on every remaining mountain stage and still win. But having said that, that's a lot of time to lose in 2 stages. You got Roglič bearing down on you, especially with the time trial at the end. I'm starting to get, as someone who thought Ben O'Connor would win as recently as yesterday, I'm starting to get a little concerned.
Yeah, but still, this I don't think we can draw too many conclusions because this was not O'Connor's normal level today. He was way below what he usually is able to perform. So I would still, if I'm the director of one of those other teams, I'm still very, very concerned or we're going to get that time back. So it'll make for a great race. I mean, for us, it's great that, now all of these other favorites have to do this, recuperation race to see wherever they can grab a few seconds or maybe a minute or something, So,
yeah,
I'm still, I would still be concerned. And, I've seen one, I don't know. I mean, I don't have them here in front of me, but the odds for the overall have shifted after today. Primož is back negative and Ben O'Connor, I think, is plus 500 now on Unibet somewhere. I would give that a try because, the longer he stays in red, the more he's going to start to believe himself. And, I think I've seen on Unibet, I think plus 500 for the win, Ben O'Connor.
Yeah, you've read my mind. It is plus 500. I kind of like that too.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a little bit of a panic swing. Like today was not a catastrophe for Ben O'Connor. I thought he defended well. He can't lose that much time every summit finish, but he can lose a little bit every summit finish. And he might feel, he was so good yesterday. Like this guy is not just going to fold. This isn't, maybe Israel Premier Tech was pacing today because they were worried about Harold Tejada taking George Bennett's eventual top 10 finish. But like Harold Tejada is someone that I would say he might have a hard time in the third week. Ben O'Connor is not Harold Tejada, though. He's a seriously good GC rider. One other thing I wanted to point out, Johan, before we go to prediction mode. So UAE comes into this race with, I was thinking, wow, this is a team full of leaders. What an embarrassment of riches they have. So did you see João Almeida and Isaac Del Toro sitting basically last wheel going into the climb, like an explosive 4.7 kilometer climb with a pinch point at the beginning? They're sitting last wheel. Yeah. So like they're stuck behind the crash. Almeida loses a ton of time. Del Toro doesn't finish where he could have finished. Do you know who their top GC rider is right now?
I haven't checked, but is it Sivakov?
It's Isaac Del Toro in 17th. It's in his first professional season. That's embarrassing for a team that had that squad coming into this race.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good at all.
No, it's shocking. I
think they're paying the price of a heavy season also, if you come in the heavy favorite, obviously something was wrong with Almeida today. The fact that they were both sitting in last position, they were on the limit already. You're not there because you want to be there. It's because you've been hanging on the yo-yo the whole race already.
Yeah. It shows you, as you said, it's not PlayStation. I think after Tour of Switzerland, a lot of people said to me like UA podium sweep incoming at the Tour, and they'll probably win the Vuelta too. But it's just not how professional cycling works. Like they're probably tired. João Almeida did something like, I don't know the numbers in front of me, but it was like over 7 watts per kilo on the final climb of the final stage of the Tour of Switzerland. Like you have to be really fit to do that, and then to hold that form all the way through the Tour, all those are the Vuelta. That's not ideal. So the reality is like bouncing back, and they're probably paying the price for that. They've had a good season so far, though. I think they'll be all right.
Yeah,
it is shocking. Last thing I'll say on UAE, the difference between when Primož Roglič or when Tadej Pogačar is present and when he's absent is shocking. Like it's like a great player like Michael Jordan. Like he makes guys look better when he's there, and then when he's gone, it's just the whole thing deflates. It's like a big balloon just deflating, and everyone looks kind of lost and like they don't know what to do, and they have no direction. Yeah. All right, I will list the favorites from Unibet for this is stage 9. This is a hard stage. I would say I kind of underestimated this when I just
one
looked
of the
at
hardest stages of the whole Vuelta, by the way.
Yeah, it's 178 kilometers and you're like, it's only 3 Cat 1 climbs, but they're all in the last 90K. And how much climbing do we have? Like
4,500 meters. Yeah, it's hard.
So that's like 15,000 feet of climbing.
And that climb, the last climb, they do it twice, and it's a very hard climb. It's around 10K, and it's I think it's 8-9% average. So it's steep. It's hard, really hard. And it's the back road of Sierra Nevada, actually. So most of the riders will know the climb, because most of the European riders have spent some time there at some point.
And it's at low altitude, which you would normally think, oh, that makes it easier. But it's in Granada in southern Spain. It's going to be so hot.
It's very hot.
Really hot. So, I mean, I actually heard a lot of guys saying like, I got dropped on that first climb, but it was hot and steep. I'm like, well, that's the whole Vuelta. So, I hate to break it to you. You're at the Vuelta España. But I will list the favorites from Unibet. I'll call out better prices when I see them on DraftKings and FanDuel on the U.S. books. But Primož Roglič, today's winner, is the favorite again. Plus 120. Enric Mas, plus 500. Sepp Kuss, plus 1,400. Mikel Landa, plus 1,400. Antonio Tiberi, plus 2,200. Leonard Van Eetvelt, plus 2,200. Richard Carapaz, plus 2,500. Eddie Dunbar, plus 3,300. Felix Gall, plus 3,300. Carlos Rodriguez, plus 3,300. Mateusz Schlemoza, plus 3,300. It goes on and on and on. We'll call them out when we need to. But Johan, how do you think this is going to play out? Breakaway or GC? And who do you think is going to win?
You could say breakaway, because it's the difficulties are at the end. So there's a lot of terrain for a breakaway to go, but that's just so hard at the end. Those 3 climbs are very hard, and especially, as I said, they smell blood. They smell blood. They know that Ben O'Connor is, you can't let him recover. So I think it's going to be a GC stage. Primož Roglič is the favorite. I picked him today. To not pick him again, I'm going to go a little risky. And especially since it's not an uphill finish. It's 25 kilometers downhill into Granada after the last climb. I'm going to pick Carlos Rodriguez to win tomorrow's stage. He's at plus 3,300 on Unibet. Seems like he's getting better legs. He was okay today. He was up there. I think he was the 3rd or the 4th guy from the favorites. He's great in downhills. We've seen that already several times in the Tour also. And he is the local guy. He is from the Granada area. So Carlos Rodriguez is my pick at 3,300 to win the stage tomorrow.
It's kind of a left field pick because we haven't seen him much. He is actually plus 4,500 on FanDuel. That's really, I'm going to bet that right after this show. But so he's a bit of an oddball pick, because I was thinking, God, he's not had a good race and I haven't seen him. But then I looked it up. He quietly finished 21 seconds back today with Schlemoza, and then right behind Tiberi. Did you say he's from here? I heard that he doesn't like the heat, but I can't. How is that possible if you're from Granada? I don't
one thing is not liking
that.
it. Another thing is you can still perform well. He must perform well in the heat. Otherwise, he couldn't have become a cyclist.
Yeah, like I grew up in a place where I remember we would have days where it would be like over 100 Fahrenheit for 30 straight days. I don't like the heat, but presumably I have I'm used to it in some sort of way. Yeah. But yeah, that's one end of the spectrum. I mean, I don't hate it. Like we were thinking, who's as good as Primož Roglič in the climbs? It's Enric Mas, Mikel Landa. Those guys are close. The problem is they don't win that much, like almost ever. They rarely win big World Tour races. Carlos Rodriguez, really good climber, and he actually wins a lot. Since 2022, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 World Tour wins. That's like far more than Alberto Bettiol has in his entire career. So he has a knack for winning, like a nose for the line. He won a stage similar to this at the Tour de France. Was that 2 years ago off the Jouplan and the Morzine? Yeah. And I don't know if you mentioned this, but the last 2 climbs are 7K long, about 10% average, 9.6% average. That's really, really steep. In theory, that will help a rider like Carlos Rodriguez, just like a pure class climber. Downhill to the finish, I don't know. I could see it. I don't hate it at plus 4,300. I'm going to go boring. The hedge again, the Roglič hedge. And I still think I had this theory that you could bet Primož Roglič or Wout van Aert, depending on the stage, every stage for the podium this tour or this Vuelta and make money. I think that still holds. But Roglič is plus 120 for the win. He's plus 125 in the US on DraftKings and FanDuel. That's a little bit better. Every point counts when you're that much of a favorite, but I'm going to take him for the win.
Yeah, I think
today,
it's a safe bet. He needs the seconds, and there's bonification seconds the last time they go up that climb. So it's another incentive for Primož. My second choice for tomorrow is, I think if I'm not mistaken, today he got caught behind the crash at the bottom of the climb and came back quite good. Lost some time, but Leonard van Eetvelt was able to follow Primož on the first mountain stage. He's plus 2,200 and he's fast. So, if he can get over those climbs, there's going to be some kind of regrouping between the favorites, in my opinion, in the last 25K. And he's one of the only guys of those big favorites who's actually has enough speed to beat Primož Roglič in the sprint. So he's going to be my second choice at plus 2,200. Leonard van Eetvelt of Lotto Destiny.
He is fast. He's plus 2,600 on FanDuel, plus 2,500 on DraftKings. So a little bit better price. He's very fast. I will say if Van Eetvelt was going to cave on any stage, I would pick tomorrow. That's like that. This has like a leg breaker for 22-year-old inexperienced rider written all over it.
It's a question mark. It's a question
out of the week. Yeah. But he's a good pick at that price. I'm going to go with someone who this is the opposite of an emotional pick. I was thinking, could Sepp Kuss win this? But I just don't know. Like, if he's fully at the form needed to win this from a GC group. I think I said this in the preview. I think he's only won one race ever from a GC group, and that was a mountain stage, and that was the Vuelta a Burgos Queen stage. But Antonio Tiberi, like he doesn't race like in the most exciting way, if you know what I mean. You don't always notice him, but if you go back and look at the Giro and you look at the Vuelta so far, he's always there. Like he was fourth today. He's kind of always lurking. I think he will be, if not with the front riders over the last climb, like close to them. And if he can get close to them, he's a guy that like Primož might not mark right away. So like he'll be more worried about Ben O'Connor, distancing Ben O'Connor than he will be about Antonio Tiberi. So
exactly. Yeah.
I don't hate him for the win. He's plus 2,200, just like Van Eetvelt. I trust the big thing about Tiberi, he's plus 3,300 on FanDuel, is I trust his climbing, like his big mountain climbing, just a little bit more than Van Eetvelt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's solid. And he did an amazing Giro, then took a rest, and now is again obviously on a great level. So I think that's a good one. He can be there. He can. Also, if all the weight is on Primož, all the responsibility is on Primož, there will inevitably be attacks at the end. And Tiberi could be one of those opportunists.
So FanDuel has a nice highlight of DraftKings has a bunch of head-to-heads. I kind of don't want to go through them because some of them are a little esoteric. So I'm just going to do the FanDuel ones. Primož Roglič, minus 410. Antonio Tiberi, plus 270. What we just talked about.
Yeah. I'm going to say Tiberi. Because Primož will have to. The responsibility is going to be on him. If they can drop O'Connor, I don't see him going all the 25 kilometers by himself to the finish unless he's an amazing day. So if a guy like Van Eetvelt, Mas, if Mas is there, Mas will probably collaborate with Primož. But I think that there will be a small regroupment of the favorites, and that Tiberi can beat Primož tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe Primož doesn't work this way, but if he's off the front with Mas and Tiberi, he should just tell those guys, like, pull as hard as you can, and I will not contest this stage, because the time he could gain on O'Connor is probably worth more than the time bonus, the 10-second time bonus versus the 4 for third. Tiberi's actually plus 275 on the same head-to-head on DraftKings. So I like that as well. Just playing the odds there. Enric Mas minus 310, Mikael Landa plus 220.
Yeah, they're both not fast in the sprint either. So, and Enric Mas. Because he's super confident. He's super confident. I saw an interview with Enric Mas after the finish. He feels great. He has a lot of confidence.
If you had never watched pro bike racing before and you just watched this Vuelta, you'd say that he must be one of the best climbers in the world. Like, he looks unshakable on some of these climbs. Like, where is this guy the rest of the year? Mateusz Skelmoza plus 102 versus Lennart Van Eetvelt minus 134.
Van Eetvelt.
Wait,
you don't seem to agree with me, but well, it's fine. It's fine.
Skelmoza is another guy that doesn't totally. I mean, he was 5th today.
Yeah,
but how held up was Van Eetvelt? We don't know.
We don't. Yeah, no, we don't know. We don't know. And there's 2 questions about Van Eetvelt. It's day 8. It's day 8, not tomorrow.
Day 9. Today
9 already.
8. Yeah.
Okay.
Most he's ever raced in a row, right?
Yeah. That's the question mark. How good is he, and how can he maintain that shape? But he's faster. He's faster than Skelmoza.
Yeah, and Skelmoza.
If you want to play it safe, it's Skelmoza. He has proven more. But I'm a bit undecided on this one, Spencer.
But I mean, I guess let's test that theory. So proven more, but then go to stage 4. I know people said it was hot, it was steep. Van Eetvelt was far better than Skelmoza on stage 4. So should we assume that he's just in better form at this race? Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I would go Van Eetvelt as well. The more I think about it, Skelmoza was good today, but maybe Van Eetvelt would have been with those front 2 guys if he would have been positioned better. Yeah, I'd say Van Eetvelt. And one other thing before we go, King of the Mountains, it's getting less juicy, but Primož Roglič is plus 125. At least in my mind, it's pretty clear at this point that he's going to have to win that King of the Mountains.
Who is in the lead now?
I think it's him. I mean, it was pathetic totals before today. Yeah, so he's in first. Do they not get many? They must not be getting many points because they haven't been to the big mountains yet. The final climb today was 3 points. So
it was only third category, which I think I didn't understand why it was only third category, because it was crazy hard.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest climbs they'll do this year. He's ahead, but he only has 18 total points so far.
I think he's the big favorite for the King of the Mountains, Spencer. He needs every single opportunity from now on. So he's going to score points no matter what.
I agree. And this isn't like the Tour where you have a bunch of climbs, where you'll have a massive HC climb 3 climbs before the finish. The finish climbs are going to have a lot of points on them. But do you have anything else to add, Johan, before we take off?
No, that's it. And Spencer, I'm almost out of battery on my iPad, so I'm a bit worried. So we need to wrap it up.
And you'll have time to charge it because we're not doing an episode tomorrow. We will be back on Monday on the rest day to preview stage 10.
Okay. Thanks, Spencer.
All right. Bye, Johan.